Welcome to my August reading wrap-up. We are somehow already into the month of September, and so I wanted to do my August reading wrap-up. In the month of August, I read 8 books, which is actually tied in first place with January for the month that I read the most books. So I'm really pleased with that, even though I kind of feel like I'm cheating because one of them is a poetry collection, but a book's a book. The genre breakdown of my reads was 3 fiction, 1 poetry collection, 3 horror, and 1 mystery. The shortest book that I read was the poetry collection by Mary Oliver called Dog Songs, and that was 127 pages. And the longest book that I read in August was The Reformatory by Tananarive Due. And that was 576 pages. So out of my 8 books, I actually listened to 5 on audio and I read 3 physically. I love audiobooks for the most part, depending on the narrator and stuff, but I walk a lot to work, to the gym, so I love listening to audiobooks then. And I also sometimes have the chance to listen at work if I'm working in the evenings. And I can fly through them. If I'm on a week of evenings, I can get through at least 1 book. So, first read of the month was The Ocean at the End of the Lane by Neil Gaiman. This is about a man who is unnamed for the entire story, which I actually didn't even realize until the end of the book. But he does remain unnamed. He is returning to his hometown for a funeral, and he kind of starts reminiscing on the past, and he wants to go visit his old friend's house. He goes to visit the house. All these memories come back of this kind of strange encounter that he had with this girl and her family. I didn't really know what I was getting into going into this, but it was so sweet. So the audiobook was available at my library through Libby. So I kind of just took a chance on it. I saw it, looked at it on Goodreads, saw the ratings that it had. It has really good ratings on Goodreads. 4 stars, and it has 651,000 reviews. I actually didn't really know what it was about, but it sounded interesting to me. I don't normally gravitate towards books that involve magical realism, and I didn't know this had magical realism in it going into it, but I still really liked it. I gave this a 4.5 stars. When we are flashing back to his childhood and his friendship with this girl next door, her name is Letty Hemstock, and her family, he is 7 years old in this timeline, and he's coping with some traumas, and it's kind of just a story of how Letty and her family help him with that. And I just thought it was really heartwarming and beautifully written. So I also realized upon finishing this that I had actually read a book by this author, Neil Gaiman. In the 4th grade, we read it as a class. It was called The Graveyard Book. And I don't remember much from it now, but I remember in the 4th grade, I think we would read like a chapter a week or something. And my class was so excited. Like, we were so excited every week. It was so good. So I definitely want to read that one now because I was in love with Neil Gaiman's writing in this, and I thought it was a really cute, beautiful story. The next book that I read was The Virgin Suicides by Jeffrey Eugenides. I hope that's how you pronounce it. I think that's how you pronounce it. Sorry if it's not. This one was another 4.5 star read. Obviously, this book deals with some hard topics. Suicide is very greatly discussed in this. Take care of yourself. Don't read this if that's gonna be triggering in any way. So essentially, the story is following the lives of these 5 girls, sisters. So we start off on page 1, and one of the sisters has taken her own life. We are told then that the rest of the sisters follow suit. So kind of you're going through the whole story waiting for that to happen and not really sure when it's going to. What I really liked about this book was the perspective that it was told from. It was from the perspective of these boys, like the neighborhood boys that like live across the street and like really close to their house. These boys are just obsessed with the sisters, the Lisbon girls. It's like a bit disturbing. I loved that perspective. How these suicides have impacted the community is discussed. They also discuss like how the parents, their decline, how they stop taking care of their house and themselves and the other girls, and then how the girls start kind of also acting out and how they're coping with the loss of their sister, which I thought was interesting. It was overall just haunting and devastating, and I cried at the end for sure. I definitely want to read more by this author. This was my first one by him. Maybe that's in the cards for me for next year. I really liked Jeffrey Eugenides' writing, so I'll definitely be reading more from him in the future. Next book I finished was Dog Songs by Mary Oliver, which was a poetry collection that Mary Oliver wrote. It's just poems about what it's like to have a dog and love a dog and lose a dog, and it was... I literally had to split it up. I started this in like May and I just finished it. I didn't read it all in August, but I had to split it up. It was devastating, some of the poems. Let me read you one. This one is called If You Are Holding This Book. You may not agree, you may not care, but if you are holding this book, you should know that of all the sights I love in this world, and there are plenty, very near the top of the list is this one, Dogs Without Leashes. I read that and sobbed. The first time I read that, I sobbed. And then she has these beautiful little drawings in the book. This was so good. 5 stars. Not much to say about it. She writes beautifully, and I love dogs. After that one, I read Perfume and Pain by Anna Dorn. The cover of this one, beautiful. I thought I was gonna like this one a lot more than I did. So we basically start off and it's about this woman in her like 30s, I think. And she's just struggling. She's an author, but she got canceled not that long ago because she was saying crazy shit in an interview. She's in this writer's group called Sapphic Scribes, and we basically pick up there where she's kind of like obsessed with one of the girls in her group. We slowly see them start to form a relationship, and then how she's juggling that relationship with a substance abuse problem and just not being in a good headspace at all. I loved the first like 70% of this. It was so messy, like everyone was being messy. And Astrid, our main character, was just in complete denial of her substance abuse problem. It was kind of just us like, you know, screaming at the pages like, girl, do you not realize you're in like self-destruction mode? The end kind of fell flat for me. It felt too perfectly tied up for the type of story that it started out as. I gave it a 3 stars in the end. I would probably try something else from Anna Dorn. This is my first book by her. And the cover of this one, just gorgeous. Next book, Mr. Mercedes by Stephen King. Since 2023, when Holly was published, I think it was 2023, I was like, oh, I want to read that. But I learned that Holly was a past character of Stephen King's. So I was like, okay, I want to read her whole thing and I want to get the whole like Holly timeline. So Mr. Mercedes is the first book in Holly's story. She's introduced in this story. This is only my 3rd Stephen King. I've read The Long Walk by him. Hated it. I read You Like It Darker. I Hear You Like It Darker last year. Loved that one. That short story collection. Oh no, I read The Running Man this year as well, which I did enjoy as well. So this is my 4th book by Stephen King. And 4.5. I loved the story of this so much. Like, it's kind of crazy. It's Stephen King. So it starts off in a horrific way. There's this incident at a job fair kind of thing. People are lined up in the morning to like go into this job fair and secure a job because the economy sucks. Someone basically bulldozes the crowd in a Mercedes and the killer is never caught. So that's kind of how we like open up, and then it's like some time has passed and the main detective on this case, Detective Bill Hodges, is retired, and he was on this case, the Mercedes case. Sitting at home one day, gets a letter from who else but the Mercedes killer. Detective Hodges gets this letter and is like, okay, I'm gonna find him on my own. And that's basically the whole story. He's trying to figure it out. I was obsessed with the relationships that like blossomed throughout this story. And yeah, it was, I mean, horrific, but that's Stephen King, I guess. And I will definitely be continuing in this series. Like, I'm hooked now. Also, I don't just dole out 4.5 stars like this all the time. This was genuinely a really good reading month for me. Next story was Kill Creatures by Rory Power. So I heard that this was coming out like earlier this year or the end of last year or whatever. And it sounded so good. This is a YA book. It's about this girl named Nan. We start out and she's going to like a candlelight vigil or something for her 3 friends that died a year ago. Basically, one of them emerges from the lake at this vigil and everybody's like, oh my gosh, amazing, she's still alive. And Nana's like, you're supposed to be dead. I killed you all. So that's how our story begins. And it's basically Nan trying to figure out if her friend remembers anything, what she remembers, if she remembers anything, and where her other 2 friends are. If this one's alive, are the other 2 alive somewhere? So this is a YA, which I don't normally like adore YA. So I think this one did end up falling a bit flat for me, just the ending. But it was pretty enjoyable, honestly, the whole time. Like, I was hooked. I thought it was kind of predictable overall, but for a YA, I did really enjoy it. I rated it 3 stars. Discovering what their friendship dynamic was like before Nan tried to kill them all was really, like, eerie. Next book, The Ex-Girlfriend Murder Club by Gloria Chao. Unexpected, 5 stars. This was a cozy mystery about this girl named Catherine Hugh who basically discovers that her boyfriend is a cheating piece of shit and that he's with at least 2 other women. So they like all get together and they're like, he's so shitty, like we should prank him to try and like, you know, get some revenge. Anyways, this man ends up dead and they like went over to his house to like prank him. So now they're like, oh my god, our DNA is all over his apartment. So then they have to like try and figure out who actually killed him so they don't go down for his murder that they did not commit. This was so cute. The friendship that was formed between these girls, I was obsessed. Like, I never thought I would like a cozy mystery this much. This was my first cozy mystery and it was so cute. I'm talk about this more in a reading vlog that's gonna go up, but yeah, unexpected 5 stars. I was so excited once I finished this. It was awesome. And the last book that I read in August was The Reformatory by Tananarive Due. So this is a horror novel about a young boy. He gets sent to this reformatory, Gracetown School for Boys, for kicking a neighbor in defense of his sister Gloria. So he gets sent away there and everybody's like really shady shit happens there. Gloria's basically like, I need to help get him out. Like, this is wrong. He should not be there. The story basically follows Gloria trying to get him out and Robbie, the boy in there, what he starts seeing in there, the horrific things that he starts seeing, boys that he starts seeing that have died there. So there is a little bit of a like paranormal aspect to it. I really like this one. I haven't really settled on a rating yet. It's either 4 or 4.5. So Tananarive Due actually had an author's note at the end of this book where she speaks about how her uncle went to this school for boys in Florida and how he died there. The Dozier School for Boys, I believe it was called. She said that she kind of wrote this in memory of him and wanted to kind of use the story as a way to like shed light on what some of these kids went through at these schools for children that were supposed to be like, you know, help them get better and you know, discipline them, but kids went there and never ended up coming home. It was really eye-opening and heartbreaking to read in that respect, where it's crazy to imagine people inflicting like this sort of abuse and discrimination towards anybody, but you know, especially kids. So yeah, it was definitely a hard-hitting book, and I've really loved Tananarive Due's writing. Like, it was very beautifully done. Yeah, so I think probably, honestly, another 4.5. Like, this was the month of 4.5s. It was great, and 1 5-star. Yeah, so that's all the books that I read in August, all 8. I had a great reading month. Yay! A 5-star for the first time in a bit. I don't remember my last one, but yeah, it was awesome. If any of these books sounded interesting to you, I would definitely recommend checking them out. Like, I didn't have any horrendous reads this month or anything. They were all 3 and up, so that's a pretty good reading month. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.